everyone, this is Arlene with a video for Graphic 45. Today I'm going to share a mini album that I created using Graphic 45's new paper collection called Gilded Lily. It's a really gorgeous collection. It's got a lot of soft vintage tones to it. It takes you back to the Renaissance, kind of like the George Washington time frame, and it has some gorgeous vintage images. The size of this mini album is 4.5 by 6 3/8. That's the size of the chipboard cover. And I have a video tutorial at the end of this video to show you how to create a cover for your mini album. There's a lot of tutorials out there, but I wanted to show you how I do that. And there are a lot of tutorials out there already that show you how to create the pages and the binding, so I'm not going to do that in my video tutorial. Okay, so on the cover I did a lot of fussy cutting. I used a petaloo flower, some I Am Rose's lilies, which really capture the lilies in the paper collection. So you'll see I cut some out here. I have a shabby chic ornate metal key here in the front. I put that on with glossy accents to make sure that's not going anywhere. And you'll see that there's a Gilded Lily, I think it's from the cut aparts of the 12 by 12 paper. And then I have some of the chipboard pieces that are just kind of randomly placed on the cover, and then I fussy cut this little lady right here. On the spine I used one of the door knockers, and you'll see that the metal door knockers, and what I did is I just touched it up with some white acrylic paint, and then I wiped some of it off to show a little bit of the brass color from underneath. And then I hung this little metal charm with a chipboard piece of the crown from the paper collection, and you'll see that there's a chipboard piece here of the vintage lady, and then I have some I Am Rose's flowers there. For the belly band, to keep the mini album shut, all I did was use some cardstock and the design paper that has a lot of the vintage images, and I just wrapped it around, and I adhered some magnets underneath the design paper, and underneath the design paper here is some magnets as well, and so it just shuts closed just like that. Okay, so it holds the mini album shut. And then I have a shabby chic door pull here, ornate metal door pull that I just put here, and you can actually use it to open and shut the mini album, which is nice. Okay, so inside the mini album, and a lot of these pages are inspired by Elsa over at Just a Few Designs. Hey Elsa! I also took a few binding tips from Ginger over at My Sister Scrapper. Hi Ginger! So she had some really cool tips on how to create pockets to create that, that usable space to hook the page up to the binding. The binding system that I'm using is the Hidden Hinge binding system, and there's some tutorials again online on YouTube and elsewhere to show you how to do that. So over here I just created a little pocket, and I did a little cutout of the vintage lady with some of the flowers from the paper collection, and then a little I Am Rose's flower. And then all of the photo mats are pretty much the same. So I left it open for opportunity for adding photos and journaling. And each of these photo mats measure 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So it gives you some really good real estate to add photos. Okay, and then over here it just says elegant. This is a sticker from the sticker sheet. And over here I fussy cut some images from the design paper and used it as a little corner to stick a photo behind, so there's space in there to insert a photo. And then I just added some I Am Rose's flowers. So most of these pages have magnetic closure. Photo mat here, and then photo mats in here. And I didn't put a whole lot of decorations in here, you guys, because it tends to get really, really thick, and when you have these folds down, you don't want to have any too much dimension here, because then your mini album won't shut. So make sure you keep it, you know, not so bulky, so you can insert your photos here and maybe some cutouts once you got the papers laid down, but I wouldn't recommend adding much more at that point. Okay, over here I used a chipboard piece from the paper collection as a little insert. I have a little tag here, but you can place a photo there and then use the tag for journaling. And then in this pocket, it's just another spot for photos and journaling. Okay, and then over here, this I got from Elsa. This is a really cool design because it creates lots of pockets. So check out her channel for more information on this. But there's a space here, and these are the the ATC tags in the Staples collection for Graphic 45. I just covered it with some of the design paper. So there's a pocket here, and then there's a little sticker from the sticker sheet here. And then here's another ATC tag here. And then underneath that ATC tag, let me take that out, there is another pocket here for a photo mat. Okay, so you can add a photo in there. So I'm just going to leave those out for now. And then, sorry, and then this flips open. So lots of real estate and lots of flips and folds to add photos and journaling. Okay. Okay, so then this is just closes like that, just like that. Okay, so that's my Gilded Lily mini album. I hope you like it. So stay tuned for a video tutorial showing you how to put a cover together to make a mini album of your own. Hey everyone, it's Arlene here with a video tutorial to show you how to create a cover for your mini album. The album is 4x6. So the actual cover that I'm creating is going to be 4 3/8 by 6 3/8, and that's, you know, of course you want to make it slightly bigger so that it overlaps your pages a little bit since it's a cover. Okay, so the binding that I'm using, just really quick here, is the Hidden Hinge binding system, and I already created the binding here. The binding is 10 3/4 by 4 inches. Okay, you always want your binding to be as tall as your pages. All right, and I'm not going to do a tutorial for the Hidden Hinge because this particular type of binding is out there on YouTube. A lot of people have done tutorials out there, but I believe Kathy Orta is the first person to put out a tutorial on this, and a lot of people do use this binding system. So easy, you don't even have to think. It's just 1/4 inch, half, 1/4 inch, half. So if you see the tutorial, you'll know what I mean. And I like that the hinges are very durable. Okay, I made the wings a little bit smaller on this one. Sometimes I'll do it where it's hardly any wings, probably just like maybe 1/4 of an inch or something, but I adjusted it just a little bit so that the wings on the side aren't that big. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut some medium weight cardboard, chipboard, sorry, 2 pieces, front cover, back cover, at 6 3/8 by 4 3/8. Okay, and then my spine is, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 1 7/8 by 4 3/8. And what I did to measure the spine or determine how wide I want my spine to be, it's as wide as your binding. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you have a little bit of space between the first binding and the last binding, because that's where your cover is going to bend. See, this is where my cover is going to bend. You guys can see that. So I don't want my spine to be too small where it won't capture this entire binding, but then I don't want it too big because then there'll be too much space and these flaps won't fold very well. Okay, so I chose 1 7/8 by 4. All right, now what I'm doing is I'm taking some Recollections, I believe this is like paper bag type of cardstock. So it's not anything special. It's not heavyweight. It's just regular weight cardstock that you can get from the craft store. What I'm going to do, and this is 8.5 by 11, 2 sheets of it. I'm going to get my score tape, and I thought I had it here a second ago. Here we go. And I'm gonna join these two pieces together so that I can get a sheet of paper that provides coverage for the chipboard pieces that I just cut out. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to adhere the chipboard down to the cardstock that you just created, and with the 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper. And it's good to use score tape, okay? So if you have score tape, use it, or use a really good adhesive. If you like wet adhesive, that's okay too. Just keep in mind that it may bubble over time if it's not a really good adhesive and you don't have good coverage. What I like to do is use my Creatopia, so I am gonna step away just for a second to add some adhesive on my Creatopia, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I went ahead and ran my chipboard pieces through my Creatopia to add some adhesive on one side, because I'm going to adhere those down. I'm just going to use my bone folder here to make sure the adhesive goes down on all the edges of my paper. So I'm just going to take this one piece off. Now what I like to do, I don't have like a leveler or anything, so I use the grid of my desk mat. Okay, so there's just a grid, and I just line up visually, just line up the edge of my my paper to the line on my desk mat. Okay, so that's how I kind of get a nice clean straight line, or at least I know I'm going sort of straight. And then I take my ruler and I'm going to line that up right at the bottom. And what you're going to do is go ahead and take your pieces, and I like to start with the binding. Okay, so I'm just going to take it and line it up, or center it right on the middle here. And I'm just eyeballing it, you guys. It's doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, just eyeballing it. Okay, and then just push that down. Okay. Now you have all of this space up here that you don't need. Save the paper that you cut off, guys, because you can totally use it for like hinges and stuff like that, or scrap pieces for your mini album. So don't throw it away. All right. So what I'm going to do to cut that off is get, unless you guys have like a super big paper cutter, which I don't have, I'm going to use my cutting mat, the traditional cutting mat, you guys. So it's a glass cutting mat, and I'm going to use my X-Acto and my Tim Holtz, trusty Tim Holtz ruler here, and I am going to cut the excess off. What you're going to need to do now is cut off the edges here so that we can fold the pages over, fold the paper over to cover the chipboard. Okay, so you don't want to cut exactly too close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the edges, little triangles off the edges. Okay, but you don't want to cut totally like right at the corner. You want to make sure you leave a little bit of space to fold the paper, but not so much space that it's going to overlap and bunch up on the end. Okay, so then you just cut off the corner, just like that. Okay, let me show you. Hold it up close so you can see, just like that. So not too close to the corner, but then not too far away that it's gonna clump up when you fold the corners over. Okay, so you're gonna do that to all 4 corners. Do is just kind of get the pages folding. You're going to be adding some score tape, okay, to hold the page together, but kind of get the pages going by just rolling the page and guiding it around the pieces of chipboard, just like this. Okay, so just getting it used to be folded, and then you're going to kind of give a little bit of bend here, because this is where your pages are going to bend. And it's very important, again, to leave that space so when you fold it, your chipboard doesn't rip or fray, I should say. Okay. before you cut these edges off, the corners, you can add your score tape first, but I despise waste. So I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is add score tape, just like this. And then what I like to do is take my my 3M Advanced tape glider and use this adhesive for the remainder of the flap. Keeping in mind that we're going to be putting design paper over the flap, so that's going to hold it down for us permanently, but the score tape in the edges will help it stay put as well. Yep, and there you have it. Okay, so you're done with your cover. You're going to be putting design paper over this. You're not going to see the little crease there where you joined the two 8.5 by 11 pages together. All right, guys. So that's the cover. The spine is going to go in here just like this. Okay, and then it's going to get covered with design paper here, so you're not even going to see. Let me show you guys. Bring this a little bit closer. So this is going to get covered with design paper here and over here, so you're not even going to see it. Okay. Now I put score tape all over the bottom, so that's going to go right in the smack center of the spine, or the center of the book cover. Okay, and that's it. Hope that was helpful, you guys. Again, I just wanted to show you my version of how I put the cover together, and I will show you pictures of my completed mini album at the end of this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Go check out Graphic 45, and I'll have their link down below. Thanks, guys. Bye.